while we are creating jobs and killing terrorists, the radical left, Democrats, is ripping our country apart. They're trying to overthrow American democracy and erase the votes of tens of millions of Americans. First it was the Russia hoax. Then it was the Mueller witch hunt. You remember that one? So far, much more than 100%, because it goes before the election ever took place. We've been going through this from before the election took place. A bunch of bad people. And then one of the single greatest lies ever told by anybody in this government, and I think one of the great scandals right from the beginning, all of the things that they've been doing. And now, the absolutely crazed lunatics, the Democrats, radical left, and their media partners standing right back there.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, the latest new Q posts tell us a lot about everything that's happening right now with this hoax of an impeachment sham that's going on in Capitol Hill, and about the little shifter who's running it all. We're going to take a deeper look at that, plus what is going on with General Flynn. We need to get eyes on that case because there are some incredible developments I think we all should be paying attention to, and we're going to talk about those plus a bunch of other stuff on this episode, so you guys can want to stick around and check it out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Helps the channel out big time. Of course, yes, we do have brand new Q posts we're going to be checking out here. Q post 3594 is where we left off. We're picking up a Q post 3595. We're going to get into that all here in just 1 second. But as always, before we get into that, I remind everybody, look, you got to come here and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We don't know what's going to happen with this channel. You know, YouTube's come out with their new policy. It seems like there's going to be a big push to try to get rid of all channels that aren't, you know, supposedly commercially viable to YouTube. And that's probably just an excuse to censor everyone here. And if you guys don't know already, there's certain reasons they want to censor us. And they have mostly to do with the fact that these people are complicit and in bed with the corrupt criminals who we are trying to expose through our investigative work. And that is really why they are silencing our voices, so they can use the excuse of commercial viability or whatever they want to call it. But at the end of the day, we know what it is. That's why it's important for you guys to go find me and this channel on other platforms. I am actually going to start leaving links to the account on BitChute that I've created. I'm going to leave links to my Twitter page, obviously. I'm going to leave links to the website that you can go to, justinformednews.com. You can sign up there through the email to get notifications for this channel, because you never know. We never know what's going to happen to this channel at this point. And that's why I always ask you guys to come here, watch these videos, share them on your social media. I mean, you can tell the last few videos I've done, they've actually probably put a cap on it, especially with this new thing where I had to mark that my videos weren't basically made for kids for some reason, I guess, so they could just block a bunch of people from seeing this content. They could block it from schools and libraries because they don't want people who don't. I mean, what have I done to violate any of the rules on this service, right? I don't curse. I don't do anything graphic. I merely point out the fact that there are corrupt criminals who have done things to our country that we should be investigating. And for that thought crime, YouTube has come after this channel. They put their algorithms on it. I've been talking to people like the Google whistleblower. I was just with him the other day in downtown LA, like I said, and he's explaining to me what's going on behind the scenes at Google and how these people work. And it's disgusting and it's criminal and it's anti-American. And I just have to point it out every single time, because obviously this is something that we have to deal with now. Them just shutting us down, throwing us in the memory hole, and just getting rid of our voices altogether, because that seems to be their new plan of attack. Censorship is the next stage in all of this, unfortunately. So I hope this channel stays up. With your help, it should, as long as you guys are loud and let YouTube know and let everyone know that you want to hear this content, you want to hear the information that I'm sharing and have this conversation, because that's really what it comes down to. But that's why you guys got to watch these videos, share them on your social media, and if you're scratching your head, go, what is QAnon? What's this guy talking about? Watch this video right here, what is QAnon and the Great Awakening, and that'll give you all the info you need to basically get started. Let's just get right into the latest Q posts here. Q post 3595 starts with this. Australia, Italy, UK cooperating DJ Bar or Department of Justice Bar Durham classified 1 through 4, human intelligence, signals intelligence, etc. Non-Five Eyes targeting Chan, U.S. senior persons required given sensitive nature of target regarding presidential nominees, POTUS plus Cruz classified 1 through 4. Who gave the orders? Who signed? Papered per normal national security. Comms to from foreign plus domestic. Foreign to foreign 1 through 4. U.S. persons initiate scope memo. U.S. ambassador 1 and 2. NSA unmasking required. NSA U.S. ambassadors 1 and 2. Australia, Italy, UK. Special order per directive or per director classified 1 through 9 authorizing unmasking per the U.S. ambassador. Each unmasking requires approval. Sign. That's the key. CIA, the clowns. Domestic assist with rogue FBI to avoid U.S. law. Non-operational domestic. CIA human intel. Domestic placement. Trump campaign 1 through 3 jumps primary target. Trump White House spy insertion. National security classified. Personal advisors cabinet. Clowns organized under DNI. 2010-2017 Clapper Bulk. 2017-2019 Coates Sleeper. Prevent Black Op. Release of incriminating docs. Q. Now, I know there's a lot to unpack here, and to go through this line by line is very important, I think, as we kind of move forward in this, for people to understand the scope and scale of what was happening with the abuse of the FISA courts against President Trump, and how they actually, thought of ways to actively avoid violating U.S. law in the push for this coup against President Trump by weaponizing the FBI and weaponizing the CIA domestically against U.S. citizens, including President Trump before he became president during his campaign, illegally violating their civil rights there, and basically trying to create an unelected permanent dictatorship in Washington, D.C., right? The permanent bureaucracy wants to take over. They don't want people getting into power who won't play ball with them, who won't kowtow to them, won't bend the knee to them, who won't allow them to continue to rob the American people, who won't allow this deep state to continue to keep the American people in the form of completely sleeping sheep who can be led to the slaughter. That's what the biggest problem is, I think, here, is that there's so much information out there that they are trying to actively keep from the American people, because they know once the American people is fully informed on what they've done, the crimes they've committed, the corruption they've been involved in, the trafficking, the cover-ups, the ritualism and the satanic worship of the occult. This is disgusting. And that's why they're throwing everything on the line to keep President Trump from getting in office in 2020 or for the next term, 2020, because they understand that President Trump represents the end of their system of corruption and disgusting betrayal of this country. So with that in mind, this is basically, going over the fact that POTUS and Cruz were illegally spied on as per the order of Obama's administration to his CIA clowns, Brennan and Clapper, or Brennan at the DNI and Brennan at the clown agency, and Clapper at the DNI, and Comey and the FBI with all of his cronies and Strzok and Page and Baker and the rest. They were weaponizing the domestic law enforcement agencies and the foreign intelligence agencies like the CIA to go after President Trump. And then they were pulling in the Five Eyes allies to then circumvent U.S. law even further, right? Because the FBI is allowed to do investigations domestically, but the CIA's charter prevents them from actually spying on the American people. Their charter states specifically that their operations have to be aimed at foreign targets. Well, they violated that. Then they went to their friends in Australia and Italy and the UK and said, well, you spy on these people. You spy on Trump for us. You spy on Carter Page. You set up George Papadopoulos with Joseph Mifsud. You set these people up so that then we can go after them using the information that you illegally get, but share with us as a part of our illegal spying network that we're running globally against our own sovereign citizens in order to effectively become a police state, right? Authoritarian, fascistic police state. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what's being told here. We have to recognize that Ted Cruz and President Trump were both illegally surveilled by these criminals, right? And the more that we uncover about this, the more they push this Ukraine hoax, the more they just get up and lie. Adam Schiff gets in front of Congress and literally just spews out lies for 20 minutes straight about how President Trump did some quid pro quo that he's just imagining in his head that is not backed up by the verifiable evidence through the transcript that President Trump released that shows there was no quid pro quo. So that's what it is. Who gave the orders? Who signed the orders? So the orders may have came from the top. We're talking about Obama's administration, Obama himself, right? And the people who were signing these orders were people like James Comey and others. I think even Rod Rosenstein might have signed off on a few, but that may have been part of a setup to catch these people, right? But we don't know that yet. They papered it all as normal national security, and they tried to cover it up, having these secret communications with foreign allies in the Five Eyes, and they set it up with the ambassadors. This whole thing you're seeing with Ukraine is all just a part of their new setup, right? And Q told us all about this, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but the NSA has all these conversations. They know what happened. It's very clear what's going on here, and all the information is very readily available to the people who are actually monitoring it, but it has to come out legally and lawfully, and that's how I think a lot of these investigations have been allowed to push forward as far as they have. With that being said, though, it's almost I guess that would be the doctrine of like give them as much rope as they would like, right? Well, that's what that is. Then they had all these unmaskings where that was illegal. Admiral Mike Rogers was the one who was testifying on Capitol Hill about that. He was testifying in front of Congress saying these people were unmasking, and that is not the intent of this program, and it was basically against the law what they were doing by unmasking the people they were surveilling as part of their supposed foreign intelligence surveillance, when it was really just a domestic spy operation used to get blackmail and leverage against the political opponents of Barack Obama, i.e. President Trump, and that is where we're at. The clowns were all over this. They were involved in it. They're the ones who have the most to hide and have the most to lose in this scenario. They used to get at the Trump campaign. We already know they used the 1 to 3 jump principle or doctrine, whatever it is, where if they're surveilling Carter Page or George Papadopoulos, all they have to do is they can look at all of the emails he is getting, then all the people he's emailing, and then all the people they're emailing. So they can make those 2 jumps in surveillance, which is how they basically got everyone in the Trump campaign, not to mention Paul Manafort was the plant. So you plant Paul Manafort, and then you set him up using the Ukrainians, and then when you burn him, then you use that as the predicate to continue these endless investigations into President Trump, where you can basically smear him and take away his rights and take away all due process, and literally portray to the American people that President Trump's committed all these crimes when there's no evidence to actually back that up, but they can just keep running these kangaroo courts in Congress where they keep setting up the president. It's disgusting. It's beyond disgusting. Clapper was the one involved with Brennan and the hammer out of Fort Washington in Maryland. This is something they're trying to cover up. He was the one involved in the bulk data collection. He's the one who basically got up in front of Congress and said that there was no surveillance going on when he knew very well that there was. But then they have all these little caveats where they can say, oh well, I couldn't say the truth because I was national security. Well, it's not national security if you're criminals who are trying to use it to undermine the government itself and to infiltrate it and take it over from within, and then to undo the will of the American people by undoing our democratic institutions. It's disgusting. Then Coates came in after as the part of the blockade to block it. He was a sleeper. He was activated, and then he was removed. So that's a very, very brief rundown of that. There's a lot more in there I'm sure that you can pull out, and I'm sure you guys will share that down in the comments, but I just thought I'd go over that real quick. Next one, what advantages might exist when you know the other side's playbook? And then it gives the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition for a trap. It says a device for taking game or other animals, but it says something by which one is caught or stopped unaware. Yeah. So there you go. They basically set the trap on these people, and now we're about to spring it, I think, and I think that's what Q's referring to. Enjoy the show. The next one here is this Twitter post where you see they connect all the dots, right? If you'll recall, Q told us a long time ago, back in July of 2019, that Sarah Carter and John Solomon were both being surveilled by these same people who were involved in setting up the president, who were involved in basically pushing this permanent bureaucracy overthrow of the democratically elected Trump administration. And you see this in a time when it was them who were the ones who were reporting on all of these different abuses of the FISA court. So they were basically trying to cover their own trail. So this is a tweet that comes out today by Tom Fitton, where he says, the list of those allegedly targeted for illegal monitoring by ousted Obama holdover ambassador to Ukraine. Wow, this ambassador to Ukraine was really putting forth some pretty a big list of people here. You had Jack Posobiec, Don Jr., Ingram, Laura Ingram, Sean Hannity, McFowl, Dan Bongino, Ryan Savadra, Rudy Giuliani, Sebastian Gorka, John Solomon, Lou Dobbs, Pamela Geller, and Sarah Carter. And this is something that Q told us again back a few days ago, that we were to look at this marker as being an important event for the declassification that's upcoming. So it's all going to come out that these criminals were trying to set up everyone who was even related to Trump to try to take him down. And this has all been done in a very illegal manner. And there's some really disturbing things happening, especially with General Flynn's case right now, that we should be really paying attention to. But we're going to get into that in a minute, and I'm going to do some more research on that later. But it says, do you believe in coincidences? Mathematically impossible. Date public. Became aware. Date anons became aware. Reconcile. Do you think we are targeted and attacked by the largest media companies in the world because we're a LARP? Logical thinking. Q. No. Obviously, they're trying to shut us down because they're terrified of the information that we're putting out there, how we're basically undercutting the mainstream media fake news lies with facts and objective logical reasoning. Wow, isn't that incredible how that works, right? Now the next one here is from Stormy Patriot Joe saying future proofs past QAnon whistleblower traps. Now this is something we've talked about here on the channel before. March 2018, Q gives us this, an explanation of how everything happened, right? Who leaked Vault 7 to WikiLeaks? Who returned fire? Operation named Fiddler at Snowden. Infiltrate centralized secure. Exposed to harm. Date White House interference. White House directive. Russia link. Then Mission Fire. 2013 timeline of events. January 17, 2014. Think. Learn. Mission 6. Fiddler. Ghost Prime. Classified. Whistleblower. Mission 7 classified, Mission 8 whistleblower, traps, jobs, and then it says Mission 9 censorship, classified plus relay. So this was laying it all out for us. And what was it laying out? It was laying out the plan to take out President Trump. And it all started with a man named Edward Snowden. Now, what did Snowden do? Snowden infiltrated the NSA, right? Snowden stole very, very sensitive surveillance equipment that was then eventually given to people like John, or stolen again, I guess you will, or whatever, by people like John Brennan and James Clapper, and weaponized at their order by a man named Dennis Montgomery, who was working for the government at that time as a part of this major surveillance operation. And they set everything up from the beginning. They set up President Trump with the Russia link. That was their insurance policy, right? And then obviously what we have here is the whistleblower traps. And I think a lot of people are referencing the fact that Q set the traps for them, right? Or that the traps were set for President Trump by these whistleblowers, right? So because remember, President Trump, I don't even think he wanted to have that call with Ukraine. It was like recommended by one of his advisors. They were like, yeah, you should probably take this call, who turned out to be one of the people who's behind the whole thing now, trying to set up President Trump for this quid pro quo that never happened, right? So the next thing they're going to do, though, which is really the biggest worry for a lot of people out there, is the censorship. Because December 10th of 2019 here, YouTube's going to start that censorship move. Other people have, YouTube's been censoring forever, but think of it this way. They've already ramped up the censorship now, right? Because the whistleblower traps are failing. Because President Trump did something they never thought would happen. Just like they never thought Hillary Clinton would win, they never thought President Trump would release the transcript. But guess what? The same day they came out and started accusing him, or practically the same day that they started using this new Ukraine push, when everything with Russia basically fell through, there was nothing there left. And then they're like, oh, he's a Ukrainian agent. President Trump's like, all right, well, here's the transcript. Here's the phone call. Read it for yourself. You tell me if I'm a traitor. Oh, well, guess what? Everyone read it and realized very quickly President Trump's not, in fact, a traitor. Well, how convenient is that? Anyway, goes on to say, whistleblower traps. March 2018, trap, keyword select provided, whole or parts, break. You have more than you know, future proves past, Q. So remember what Q said here. What advantages might exist when you know the other side's playbook? Well, guess what? We've known all along they were going to set these traps. That's why we've been able to skillfully get past them. But now it's just going to continue to get ramped up and worse, to where it's going to become it's going to become a dystopic Orwellian nightmare, right? So Twitter's going to be censoring, Facebook's going to be removing people, YouTube's going to be deleting channels. Everything that we've been able to do up till now, as far as going around and circumventing the mainstream media, they're starting to realize, and now they're realizing that there's only one thing left they can do, is just shut all of our voices down, because they're fascists, they are authoritarians, they are not people who want democracy. They want a global governing system that they are in control of through bribery and corruption, because that's all they want. That's what they do anyway. Right? And that's why they love the Chinese system, because they want corrupt officials who can be bought and paid for in an authoritarian society where you can shut down any dissent with a simple phone call to the local party chairman in the Communist Party. So that's why they want to bring communism to our country. That's why they're a bunch of socialist scumbags who want to destroy everything that we built in this great nation for the last 200 plus years. And that's what we're up against. Quite simply put. Now, before we go, people, please go check out the reporting from Mary Fanning and Alan Jones over here at the American Report, and please try to focus on a few key facts here. I want to bring up a few things. I'm going to do a lot more in depth on this later, but for now, let me just touch on some of the big points here, right? We know that it's alleged that Brennan and Clapper illegally spied on Americans, including President Obama's political enemies, using the domestic surveillance data from the Hammer for blackmail and leverage, right, against judges, federal judges, politicians, corporate officials, you name it, right? They've been doing this for a long time. So it's disgusting. And you got to remember some of the key other facts in this. You know, when WikiLeaks dumped this, Vault 7, which is what Q was just talking about, it exposed the Hammer, right? So in exposing the Hammer, you expose the coup. You expose the plot of treason against the President of the United States. It's very simple. Here's a great timeline. I want to talk through this real quick because it kind of ties a lot together. I'm just going to read through these really quickly. Sunday, March 19, 2017, U.S. Air Force General Thomas McInerney broke the story about the whistleblower tapes onto America's airwaves during Operation Freedom Radio program with Dave Janda. Right? The whistleblower tapes were released by U.S. District Judge G. Murray Snow. Text messages subsequently show that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were talking about Larry Klayman and Dennis Montgomery and his whistleblowing at the same time they were talking about pulling this insurance policy off against the President of the United States. Monday, March 20th, the following morning, FBI Director Comey went before Congress. So the day after General McInerney went on to Dave Janda's program and exposed the hammer and the illegal surveillance against President Trump and others, that's the day that FBI Director Comey went and launched the hoax Russia collusion investigation, the blockade to keep people from getting to the truth of their criminality and corruption, right? August 17, 2018, John Brennan on MSNBC's Rachel Maddow show pushes his Fusion Center narrative, which is just a cover-up, right? Remember, the cover-up of the Fusion Center is this. The clowns were illegally using a super surveillance system to spy domestically. But what they did is they created this supposed fusion center, and because there's like 2 FBI agents in the back of the room, it's somehow legal because they can actually look at things domestically, whereas in the charter for the clowns, you can't. Yeah. October 2018, the former FBI General Counsel James Baker confirmed before members of Congress that whistleblower Montgomery, who had been a U.S. government contractor, stated that he had evidence of unlawful surveillance by the government on Americans. Then Assistant U.S. Attorney Deborah Curtis and FBI Special Agents Giardina and Barnett were assigned to Montgomery's whistleblower case. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's $35 million hoax Russia collusion investigation and the Justice Department's prosecution of General Michael Flynn. So the same people who were involved in this hoax were the ones working on the Russia collusion investigation, who were working on Montgomery's whistleblower case, and who now are working on General Flynn's case, or were working on General Flynn's case. General Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, asserts that the Justice Department is withholding exculpatory evidence, which they are, so-called Brady material, and that Lisa Page altered the FBI 302 forms from General Flynn's ambush interview. The Justice Department now claims that the FBI mixed up the authors of the 302s. So we know, right? The story already came out. The DOJ admitted that Michael Flynn, in his case, had all of this information that they were using against him completely misidentified for who wrote what. And that matters because you look at the character in the past and the background of Peter Strzok, and then you realize that they didn't know who was writing what notes in the 302s. Well, that makes a big difference, and they were trying to set him up because they know they were illegally spying on him using the surveillance system called the Hammer that was basically weaponized and placed in Fort Washington, and it was being used by the Obama administration and his cronies and lackeys, right? So that's something to be very, very cognizant of as we move forward. September 27, 2019, Assistant U.S. Attorney Deborah Curtis left her position as lead prosecutor on the Michael Flynn case and left the Department of Justice after decades of employment. On December 3, 2015, Curtis had received classified information from Montgomery about the Hammer and about the illegally harvested surveillance information on General Flynn. So this person who was involved in all of these cases, turns out, knew about it from day one and was actively working to suppress it and shut these people down. And now I'm hearing that it's possible that the judge in Michael Flynn's case may be at a point where he is going to decide not to look at the exculpatory evidence, which is a complete violation of the Constitution and how our court system is supposed to work, because I heard from a little birdie that they use the Hammer surveillance system to get dirt on the judge in Flynn's case. Well, maybe we should be talking about that publicly. Maybe we should bring somebody in to investigate the judge who is involved with overseeing General Flynn's prosecution right now, because that's something I think we should all be pushing right now. And you guys need to go support Mary Fanning and Alan Jones in their work and go check out their latest articles. Share them with your congressmen. Share them on your social media. I don't know, go down to the court and protest. Do whatever you can, but this injustice has to stop. And I'm telling you, it's very possible that there could be some compromised individuals who are overseeing this case. We already know what happened to Deborah Curtis and her abruptly leaving the Justice Department. And it would stand to reason that if this judge has dirt that's been brought up by their super surveillance and now they're holding it over his head, then we need to stop this kangaroo court, this violation of the judicial process. We have to call it out for what it is. So that's pretty much it. A few more things before we go. That's where I'm going to wrap it up. Links to everything will be in the description. Watch these videos. Share them on your social media. Like I said, hit the subscribe button. for now, as long as this channel's here, I'm not going to stop making content. So that's just going to keep going. And that's going to be it for me, though. Thanks for watching this episode. A few more things. Also, don't forget to be brave. Download the Brave browser. It's an internet browser. It's just like Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, whatever you're using, but it's better. It blocks ads. It's got a built-in Tor browser and VPN. It's an incredible product. It's free. You just go in the link in the description of this video, hit the download button, you'll download it, install it, and run it like you would any other internet browser, and it's a great tool, and it helps because they make a contribution to the channel when you download it using the link in the description. So use the link in the description, be brave, download the Brave browser, and try it out today. I guarantee you guys are going to like it. Now, also, a few other things that you should do. You can come find me over here on Twitter at JustinformedU, the official Twitter page for Just Informed Talk. We can have a conversation over here. Also, JustinformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you get links to the Q stuff, news sites, breaking news, and of course the latest videos from the channel here. So check that out if you have time. And like I said, when you come here, you can go to this About tab, and then you can do membership registration. And then you can register with the website. So I have your email and contact information, so that if anything ever does happen to the channel, you guys will be able to continue to follow me, and we'll find a way to continue to have our conversations like we do here all the time. Also, you know, with what's going on at YouTube and the way they've demonetized and everything, you keep this channel alive. Patreon, patreon.com, link in the description. Go check it out. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. I know you're helping create content on this channel. I also have a GoFundMe set up for one-time donations if you want to do that. That helps the channel out big time. You can donate anonymously here on GoFundMe as well. So thank you so much for your support. And before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, I'm going to use one verse out of the book of Philippians chapter 3, verse 12. And I wanted to share this with you. It talks about reaching forward to God's goal. It says, "Not that I have already reached the goal or am already fully mature, but I make every effort to take hold of it, because I also have been taken hold of by Christ Jesus." And that's my message to you guys. Not that any of us are fully mature, and not that any of us are perfect or are never going to make a mistake again for the rest of our lives. But we have to take hold of the message of God, a message of Christ's salvation, and we have to put it at the forefront of our lives every single day and hold on to it, because we in our hearts know we've been taken hold of by Christ Jesus. So that's my message to you. Share that with your family, friends, and loved ones, and get that word out there. And I really appreciate you guys being here for this one. And please let me know what you think down in the comments. But that's it for me. Come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. Also, hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, turn it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.